What's up, coaches? You're listening to the United Basketball Plus Coaching and Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Durden, and I'm joined here today with Coach Mike Wolf of Prairie Central Girls Basketball. Coach, good to have you on.
Thanks for having me, Coach. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's a great winter day to talk some hoops. Always love talking hoops, and going to hear your perspective today on some youth basketball, some growing the game, feeding, youth feeding into the high school level. So for those of you who don't know, introduce yourself, your coaching experience, education, all of your experiences.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Excited to share. And I am Mike Wolf. I'm the head girls basketball coach at Prairie Central High School. And we are a 2A school in Central Illinois, in Fairbury, Illinois. And I'm originally from Rock Falls, Illinois, which had a rich history of basketball and everything growing up in our community. A graduate of Illinois State University. I received my bachelor's in education, also a master's in educational administration, and have been teaching for almost 20 years now. Next year will be 20 years. Involved in coaching boys basketball at Prairie Central for a long time. Nearly 15 years, and have been the JV boys coach for a long time before switching over into the head role on the girls side this year. So coached a number of different sports, but really passionate and love the game of basketball. So been involved and around in the game for a long time. Also am the FCA chair coordinator at Prairie Central High School. So really fortunate to be in education and help impact kids and get to do it on the coaching side as well. In the game is a blessing for me for sure.
Awesome. And a 20-year vet. I mean, you're, as Coach Marty Plum of A Pen and a Napkin would say, you are seasoned and experienced. Just over your 20 years, what has been your favorite part of coaching?
Yeah, Marty Plum, give him a follow and a like right there. A Pen and a Napkin, good Stowe Valley guy. But my favorite part of coaching definitely is just really seeing the growth process and not just as basketball players on the court, but watching and helping kids grow throughout their time in high school. And then, doing this for a long time now, you get to have those relationships and you see, a kid who maybe struggled early on in your program, figure things out by the time that they're seniors, and those struggles and adversities turned into positives, and then seeing how that affects them, later on in life, and you're getting the invites to go to a wedding, or you're getting invites and still have relationships with these players that you've coached. That goes so much farther than wins and losses, and those kind of things fade, but those relationships that you have, not only with players, but coaches and parents over time, it's all really special, and don't take it for granted.
For sure. So in being seasoned and experienced, 20-year vet, teacher, and coach, talk a little bit more about your coaching experience prior to taking over Prairie Central girls basketball.
Yeah, very fortunate. Our community at Prairie Central is just outstanding and very supportive. And our boys basketball program has a rich tradition and a history, and have been a part of that and growing that. Worked with some really awesome coaches and was fortunate to take a lot away from those coaches. So I mean, when we look at like our boys program that we built, and it's really based on being a family, and that's a family of players, a family of coaches, and it's building our youth program and bringing it all together to represent Prairie Central in our community. So there's a great deal of pride on the boys side in our program, and have been a part of that. And there's a lot of excitement and everything. So, I mean, it was just really the transition, going from boys to girls. My vision and everything was very clear, what I wanted to bring to the girls side. And that's really simply to give them every opportunity that the boys have, and create that family atmosphere, that excitement, that energy for basketball. Watching kids drive down the street here, and there's kids outside in the driveway playing basketball, nonstop. They're outside playing. And I'm a dad as well of 2 daughters, and love basketball. We're basketball junkies, right, Coach? And it's like, how come we don't see girls out here doing this? Or why not? Why can't girls go and do this? Why can't they find the joy and the love in the game that the boys do? So that's a big part of my mission, helping grow the game, helping share that love and build that foundation on the girls' side, kind of what we've seen on our boys' side at Prairie Central. But yeah, a lot of experience, and work with some fantastic coaches that I have as mentors, and great friends and great relationships established. So thankful, and wouldn't change a thing from my experience on the boys' side.
Yeah, and it's great to be able to take those experiences. I mean, you're new to the girls program. You were a new face, but not a new face to the community. And you probably had some new ideas, but not new ideas to the community. One thing so I'm at my second head coaching stop. And one thing I always like to ask when I come in and ask the girls is, how many high school games did you attend when you were 7, 8, 9, 12, years old? And the answer, we attended them, but I remember going to, I mean, I'm not that old, 28. So I remember going to high school games when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. Friday nights, it doesn't matter who's coming to town. The boys are playing at home. We're going. The place is packed. It's rocking. You're seeing everybody. It's packed. I mean, just thousands of people are pouring in there. And then at the end of the game, win or lose, you've got all these 5, 6, 8-year-old kids right outside the locker room door. And as soon as these high school kids come out, they're like celebrities. They're getting their autographs taken. And so I always ask the girls, like, did you get that experience? And I want to try to find ways to bring those experiences to my players, but we only have them for 4 years. We want those kids down there at our games, seeing these celebrities at the high school level coming up and talking to our players and being the next generation. And we'll talk about how we can get there, but just as you've coached boys and now you have daughters and you're coaching the girls, have you had any differences in your coaching and the way that you coach and the way that coaching's received between coaching boys and coaching girls?
Yeah, I love that picture that you just described, and look forward to touching on that, Jake, because that's a big part of what we're doing and trying to open the door for girls to see. But yeah, the differences in coaching boys and girls, I mean, teaching is teaching, coaching is coaching. The standards, the fundamentals, the expectations don't change. I'm a big believer in that, but there are definitely some differences. I think, coaching boys for so long, I always use the example, boys, they kind of have everything figured out. You're dealing with some of that ego and that overconfidence. They think that they have all the answers. And it's like, if you could combine, coaching girls and boys, I think girls are very, very teachable. They listen really well. You probably don't have the ego for the most part. They lack confidence. But for the most part, girls are going to do exactly what you tell them to do because they want to please you. They don't want to fail. They don't want to let you down. But I always tell this story, like coaching, JV boys basketball. Freshman boy can go in and have, 11 points in the freshman game, turn it over 4 times, and they're ready to go to the league. I mean, they're great. They had the game. They had the game that they're like, okay, I'm here, I'm ready, and you can have a girl, I'm sure you've experienced this, coach. She has a great game, misses a couple shots and 3 for 4 from 3. She misses that one shot and I'm never shooting again. I let my team down. They're very hard. Girls, very hard on themselves for the most part. But I feel like if you could combine boys where, hey, I'm going to go figure this out. I'm going to go find a way. I'm not afraid to go do this kind of on my own, with the mentality of like, yes, I want to be coached. Yes, I want to take this and go do exactly what my coach said and kind of blend the two. I think that's where boys and girls could both learn from each other.
I would agree with that. One thing that I've really been pushing on this year, I have a couple of players who they don't put points up in the scoring column. And that's how they determine if they are playing a good game or not. And it's like, no, listen, like, okay, you grabbed 2 or 3 rebounds. You made a couple of stops. You cut the player off when they were driving to the hoop. You walled up and they had to push that out. Like, those are things that we need as a team too.
Yeah, for sure.
Points. I mean, we only have to score 1 point to win the game. So defense is very important. And if you're committing yourself to playing defense, that's just as great as the player who's able to score 30, 40 points. You just don't need to be hard on yourself. And you have daughters who will one day be in the program. We want to make sure that we're building something now that has a lasting impact and for the positive. And I think a lot of that goes to the youth. I know that you've had a big part in building up your youth program. I have a personal belief, and you can agree or disagree with this, but as a high school coach, if you throw up your hands and say, I don't really need to worry about my junior high program or my youth program or my summer camps, I just need to worry about the high school, you're probably not going to have a high school team, in a few years. So what are your thoughts as a head coach having a hand in building that youth program?
It's exactly necessary, just like you said there, coach. And it's something that, being an assistant coach for a long time, it's like you always kind of have these mental notes or jot things down. It's like, if I ever had an opportunity to lead or build a program, this is the way you do it. And it's one of those things, when you get the opportunity, you have that vision, and it's just very, very clear for me. Especially, I think it's helped having daughters, coaching boys and having daughters, and then seeing things from the boys' perspective, what all our boys program was able to have and accomplish. And then maybe the girls, what their experiences were coming up as youth players and everything. And really just from a place of wanting to give the girls everything that they deserve to build the best possible program, not right now, but for the future, and sustainable, even when you and I are gone as coaches, to leave that legacy and that impact for the girls. And what you said, it starts at the youth level. It goes all the way up to the top, and we have to make our program feel like a family and that we're connected. And very fortunate that I have a lot of administrative support, and we have all new coaches in our girls basketball program, which is not easy, but was able to be a part of the hiring process. And we've hired some great junior high coaches that played here, some great female role models. They're passionate. They build relationships. They love the game, and they're committed to, building a great program. And so year one is really exciting. But we've started up a Huey built basketball league, which is 4th, 5th, 6th, kind of like a travel basketball league where we come together, but it's skills, it's teaching that is in line with our junior high and high school programs, and even just started up a 2nd and a 3rd grade, like skills, in-house scrimmages. We've got some really good feedback and results, and the expectations really come from our high school program of having fun, having a great attitude, bringing great effort every day. It's focused on improvement, it's focused on participation, and it's focused on development and the long-term big picture wins in building a program. And yes, we want to win right now. Yes, we want to have success at the varsity level right now. But our long-term focus is really building this thing the right way, Coach.
You hear a lot of coaches say we're going to build it the right way. And there's really no roadmap. I think the right way, quote, right way, is what models your program, the pillars of things that you want to see in your program. And I started seeing this right from the get-go, right when you got the job about a year ago, or a little less than a year ago. We're fairly local to each other, about an hour. So we're following each other on social media, and I start seeing hashtag Huey built. And I'm like, what does that mean? Who is Huey? Is that an analogy? Is H stand for something? So what does Huey built mean? Because obviously that's the catchphrase for your program. So what exactly does that mean?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. I get that question a lot from area coaches, and it's awesome that now we have a following, and other good coaches like yourself and good programs are reaching out, and they see some of the things that we're doing and starting to get recognized for that. On cue, my dog named Huey jumps up on the couch right here, Coach. Huey is the mascot of Prairie Central. We're Huey the Hawk. So we had Matt Toman, shout out to Mental Metal Matt Toman Coaching, come with us this summer. And I know Matt, have done some coaching things with him. So we got our team for some mental toughness, some mental training, about 4 or 5 sessions in June. And one of the things that Matt did was really just classroom time and journaling. And we wanted to come up with kind of like our team slogan and that kind of thing. So the team came up with Huey built. He had everybody close their eyes, journal like their favorite memories, just jot down words, favorite memories of what it meant to be a Hawk, what it meant to be a Hawk player. And they came up with, the colors they saw in the locker room, or their favorite game, or they overcame this adversity, or they reached their goal. And it was kind of all determined that we're all Hawks. Like we all did it together. Like our mascot is Huey. And like we came up with this word of Huey built, or they came up with the word of, and it really meant like doing things the right way. Like we don't need anybody else besides ourselves. Like we do it together. We handle adversity. We're tough. We want things difficult. And it's just really kind of caught on. And the summer that we used it, a fun example, we traveled up to Kankakee to play like a varsity summer game in a live period, and then didn't have a lot of numbers and had to go back up and play at Normal Community for Coach Feeney and his league. And, we went 1 hour north and we went back to the south, and it was a 12-hour day of basketball. And the girls got on the bus. They're like, this is Huey built, Coach. Like anytime there's adversity, this is Huey built, Coach. Like 4th quarter, it gets hard. Like this is Huey built. Like we're Huey built. They're not. And I think it's just really, really cool that the young kids have caught on. So like at basketball camp, we had 140 campers at our summer camps, which is just unheard of. I think it was, even more than our boys. So asking the girls, like, what does Huey Built mean to you? And the little girl's like, we never make an excuse, or I'm going to be the best teammate I can be, or I'm going to do this. And so everyone has their own kind of version of what that looks like. And it's a little different for everybody in our program. And it's really neat, like bringing that all together. That's Huey Built to me.
That's fantastic, especially with the numbers. I mean, everybody wants right now to say, okay, well, you're a 5-star athlete, but you're in 5th grade, and I'm gonna rank you in the class, and oh, you're gonna be this, and you're going to be that. And no, just give them the opportunity. Go and start becoming Huey Built. 140 girls at your camp. I mean, there's no way that you're going to have 140 rostered players, but you just need numbers, because they're young, they're impressionable. You got to throw it at them and see what sticks, and build that joy and that drive to, okay, well, maybe I'm not the best basketball player, but I want to be a part of this great team and this family and this community because of the core memories that I'm going to build. So building off of that, 140 campers, and how many girls do you have in your Huey Built League?
In the Huey Built League, we had over 20 in our 4th grade team, so multiple teams participating. In our 5th grade team, we had right around 20, so multiple teams. Our 6th grade was a little bit lower. We had, I think, 11. And then our 2nd and 3rd grades just kind of getting started. Pretty good numbers overall. We want to continue to grow those numbers, which I think with our camps, I think we're on the start of building something pretty great.
For sure. Now, first year doing this, I'm sure there's been iterations of it in the past, but really, molding the high school program with the youth programs, what kind of expectations did you have going in? And then the results now, are they on par? Are they exceeding your expectations? What were the expectations going in and the results so far?
Yeah, I think building that foundation was really the expectations. I mean, we're going to see the fruits of it all, hopefully, in the years to come. But I just think the feedback that we've received from parents and players, I mean, they've had so much fun. They've wanted to be there. And then back to your description of what you grew up with going to boys games, we turn the lights off for our games. We got lights going on. My youth players are using the lights in the balcony, and there's just youth players galore, behind our bench. And they are so excited. Our girls are high-fiving all the youth players coming in, and it's like they can't wait for the girls game. They're like, we're going to go to the girls game. And hey, girls are playing on Friday night now. We've got great crowds coming out. There's just a good energy. And you just know going places in the community and talking to parents, they're like, my 4th grader, my 5th grader, can't wait to get in the high school and play on that court. And we've had some scrimmages where they play at halftime of our varsity games, and our local Fairbury News does a great job of covering us. So all our games are broadcast with announcers, and they've been calling the games for the girls. And it's just been awesome feedback. So I think we've seen skills improve, we've seen growth, but like you mentioned, most importantly, the participation and the fun and the enjoyment, and transferring that love of the game and love of competing, which hopefully takes them to other skills or other sports and benefits them down in their educational career.
100% that it'll benefit them in the long run. I think a lot of times there's a conflict, especially in small schools, because, okay, well, you're taking away from my program, or there's this conflict of interest throughout the sporting programs. And I think working together, your Huey Built League could be a great pathway for the volleyball team to start something, or the softball team to start something, and say, hey, let's sit down and let's map this thing out, because we're not doing it for us or our players. We're doing it for the future of this, because if we don't start now, 6 years from now, we're going to be in a world of hurt. So finding ways, and it sounds like you have great community support there. Coaches who are listening to this and saying, hey, like, I want to start a similar Huey Built League for my team. Is there a cost associated with this for the youth players, or is it free and it's through donations from somebody, or are you trying to spearhead it using some funds from your program? What would it cost? You don't have to put numbers to it, but is there a cost associated with it?
Yeah, there is a small cost. We were fortunate enough to have a brand new Boys and Girls Club be built right next to our high school this past year. So it's a beautiful facility, plenty of gym space. So really partnered with them, which was another good step in the community. And they just required a Boys and Girls Club membership, which helped them out. And it was a small fee. And then pretty much just paid for officials, and that was it. So really very minimal to try and maximize participation.
It's fantastic. So just to reiterate, you said you had 140 campers this
Yeah.
past summer, and you're looking at 50-ish players in the first year of your league. And what kind of numbers do you have at your high school, freshman through senior? What are your numbers like?
Yeah, we are a little smaller at the high school level. I did not have any seniors play the year before I took over. And now I had one girl come out. So we have 19 players at our high school level. And that's with my daughter as a freshman, and her class is just a really small class overall, and then have very few numbers of girls. And I had a couple girls unfortunately moved right before the season. So a little smaller than I'd like, but we have 19.
Hey, cannot bat an eye at that, because some schools larger than yours have less than 19, which is the point I'm trying to make. Is looks like the numbers are looking up for your program, but across the board, you look at these reports that say there's rapid decline in participations in girls athletics as a whole. I think if you look at the numbers just in general, athletics as a whole are declining. Girls athletics, especially basketball, rapid decline despite the Caitlin Clark effects, despite other great players like Crooks and Paige Beckers and Britt Prince and the WNBA's growth. But we're seeing a decline in girls athletics, especially basketball. What are your thoughts about that? And how can, if you could fix it, how could we fix it?
Well, I think that's a big question. You know, I'm glad that we get a chance to talk about it, because I think it's really important. It's real. Don't quote me on this statistic, but I believe I saw something like 18% decline in girls basketball from, you know, just a year ago, and talking about that Caitlin Clark effect. And, you know, I was just talking about this with Coach Kaufman, Debbie Kaufman, you know, great coach at Central Catholic. And we talked about it for a long time. So very real concern. I think the quick thing for me to say is that there is no quick answer or quick fix. And in our society, we want instant gratification and right now so badly. And I think that's a big part of the problem. What we're doing and what you're doing, building your program, coach, from the ground up, and our vision for how you do it, that's the only way. There are no shortcuts. You have to get girls involved at a young level. You have to show them that you care. You have to show them that it's something that they want or need to be a part of. Bring the enjoyment into the game, and really just build that love and just do it, you know, one step at a time. But like what you said with the over specialization, the rankings, you know, the social media, all of those factors, a lot of different pressures coming from different places, unfortunately lead to, you know, the early exit, you know, from one sport or another, not just basketball. Or I can go be great in this sport, I'm not as good as this person in this sport, I don't need this one anymore, that kind of thing. I mean, I think we should break this down. I think we can talk more about it, but it's a very real issue that definitely is concerning.
It's extremely concerning. 4 years ago, you could look at the numbers and be like, there's a decline, but we have a long time before it's epidemic level. It could have been 2 years ago that you're looking at it, and it's like, we're still a long ways off. But now here we are, and it's at an epidemic level where it's tough. And building off of that, I think you're showing them at a young level. And we set expectations for players, that this is how we do things in our program. This is our expectations for you. This is what we're going to do as a coach. We'll try to be our best every day. As long as you try to be your best every day, there's expectations. But I think that it's the biggest thing we need to be looking at is setting expectations for parents, the type of communication that you need to be having with your player. And I don't care if you have a son or a daughter, how you communicate with them, the things that you say, and the things that you prioritize and say to them really impact. You know, it might be wrong to say that, because how can you judge a person in their home? But at the same time, when that starts to leak into what's happening in the classroom, in the community, and on the court for us specifically, I feel like, okay, now we can start to say, hey, like, what you're doing is having a genuine impact on your son or daughter, academically, athletically.
Yeah,
so
definitely agree, Coach.
When it comes to parents in your program, do you have any rules or stipulations?
Yeah, we're pretty standard. I definitely subscribe to the 24-hour rule, let emotions, calm for everybody. And that's probably standard for most people out there listening. Definitely a firm believer in coaching at the high school level, that we're raising, teaching, young adults, and want them to, take a step forward in their responsibility and how you communicate. So we are big advocates that we'll talk to players first, when there's an issue or anything, that they can always come to us. We have an open door policy. If there's still something in question, then maybe we do need to sit down and have a player with a parent be present. But I honestly have not had that happen too many times in my almost 20 years of coaching. Most times after you sit down with that player, that communication, you feel like, oh, wow, that was necessary. Maybe they shared something that was going on at home, or something that you didn't expect is impacting their basketball career, or just, life and school in general. And I feel like we always feel better after we communicate. Even if they say something that maybe we don't want to hear, we say something, it always comes out as a positive. But when it's player led and it's player to coach, that's when we've seen the best results. So really try to communicate through the player, and have to remind parents of that, because you do still have some parents that want to say, hey, can I talk to you? And it's like, well, the most important part of the story, the star of the show here, is the player that we all care about. We all want what's best for. And if we're meeting without that player there, I really feel like we're missing, the boat, and not doing what's best for them. So have had meetings in the past. Players come in and they say, well, my mom or dad wants to know why I'm not playing more, or my mom wants to know, why I'm not on varsity, or my dad wants to know this. It's like, well, what do you think? Let's ask some questions and have a conversation, back to them. And I think when you're honest and truthful, I think players understand it. I think they're at practice all the time with us. We know them really well, strengths and weaknesses. I just think that there's sometimes a disconnect with that and maybe what parents see just on game night. So player to coach is definitely my preferred way.
I would agree with that. I mean, we as coaches have a vision for the player, and building off of that, how much do you communicate individually with a player on their role? Do you have those conversations? Are they weekly, daily? Do you set up some little times to talk to certain players throughout the season?
Yeah, we do. We do that preseason. We try to check in, weekly or every couple weeks, like, especially, we're such a young team and a young program that we are growing, and roles change as the year goes on. Hey, like, looking at, this kind of role, or this is what you need to improve, and they want to improve and get better. So I love the question, hey, coach, what do I got to do to get better? What can I do to get better? I have some girls that are just constantly asking that question. It shows how much they care. It shows how much they want to improve and ultimately win. So we're doing that a lot informally. But yeah, we have role meetings before, I would say, mid-season. And then anytime there's a question on that or something's a little off, a player can come in and say, hey, can we talk? Yeah, we'll talk for our 3 to 5 minutes. And what's going well? What do you need to improve on? What can we focus on to get you where we need you to be for our team? And I think those check-ins are really important, but we try to do as many of those as we can.
I would agree with that 100%. I used to try to do 2 players a day and 3 to 5 minutes, but I found that if I pick 5 to 6 players and I spend 30 seconds to a minute, just how's your day? How's things going in school? Those then lead to, okay, maybe we'll have a longer conversation. Things are going a certain way. Let's talk about how that's going. And one thing I found too, exit meetings. I don't know if you do exit meetings at the end of the season, but great way to wrap things up and prepare for the next season.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, definitely going to try and get those done in my first year. And I also value our seniors. I have 2 seniors that, one has played for all 4 years, and one is a really good athlete that came out this year, a good competitor, never played basketball before, and she's having a great experience. But I'm going to value, those seniors and what they have to say as well. So going to be a good learning experience.
I think so. Self-reflection is great as a coach. In my previous coaching role, our AD would do surveys for all the players. So it was a Google form, and just asked in every program, it was the same standard questions, a lot of ranking. And then it would be ranking of practice plans, adjustments. Does coach care about me outside of this sport? And then there would just be boxes at the end of things that went really well, things that didn't go really well. And then it was all anonymous. And then he would compile all of the data, and then had an exit interview a few weeks after the end of it. our season and show us the data and help us grow as coaches. And that really had a profound impact on me. So we're in the thick of things, about a month away from March Madness. Regionals will start here in 2 weeks for us. But as you've been going through your season, how do you organize your practices in season?
Yeah, early on, that was a real challenge for me because we host a tournament. We play 4 games in a week, came back on a Monday, played another game without a practice, and we played 31 games in our season, which is a lot of games. So I think the volume of games and the grind of the season has kind of caught me by surprise a little bit in the first year coach. So I've kind of adjusted some things, but there's many times without playing on the weekends that we've played 3 games in 4 days during the week, like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday schedule. That is a really tough challenge for, being fresh, being prepared, going out and playing your best basketball. So had to adapt, but I feel like that has made us stronger now when we're only playing 2 games a week and have, two days to prepare for a game feels like an eternity, and we're going to be prepared. So practices are definitely skill focused, development focused for the first 30 or 45 minutes. Big on getting a lot of shots up every day in practice, girls making decisions, working on, breakdown stuff, maybe guards and bigs. And then, the day before a game, we're definitely working on game plan and preparation for our opponent. Yeah.
And how long are your practices? Did they start out at 2 hours and now we're down to an hour and a half, hour and 15, or still pretty standard hour and a half to 2 hours?
They started out at 2 hours, and unfortunately we only have one gym in our high school. So gym space is limited, have to work with the other programs, the boys program, finding time. So we do have some morning practices in there, and now we're about an hour and a half, I would say, cutting down after Christmas.
Yeah, that's Kurt Signetti, Indiana. Hour and 30, hour and 45 of actual, I don't think that includes their warm-up session, but on-field instruction, keep them fresh, keep them going. I think that, if you're not on that bandwagon now, that's going to be the standard here in a couple of years.
Yeah.
So like you said, you're probably 30 minutes of skill, 30 minutes of games, and 30 minutes of strategic stuff.
Yeah, I would say. And the skills part, it's easy as a coach to get into your game plan and maybe over for an opponent. I think we're all guilty of that. Maybe focus on the other team and what they're doing a little bit more than us. And I think if we have the big picture mindset and being the best team that we can be and really focus on development, I'm really big into that, and that's the important focus of our practice. So teaching those skills, giving those live reps, giving that feedback, something that we're always going to do.
For sure. Well, early in the season, you said, okay, we have 5 games in 6 nights, and you still have some of that 3 games in 4 nights. How are you incorporating film into a practice? Is it in the classroom breaking down long periods of film, or do you try and chunk it out, quick film sessions?
Definitely an area that I need to improve in. We tried, at the beginning of the year, like, okay, after practice, we're going to go in the classroom session. And, after an hour and a half, 2 hour practice, then you bring them in longer, maybe focus and some of those things aren't as much there. But breaking it down into film sessions that are quick, I think showing the clips that you want, maybe, hey, these are 5 great clips that happened on offense, and these are 5 clips that we have to get better at. And as coaches, we also sometimes focus on the negative or what we have to do. And we're showing every turnover that we had in a game or every missed box out. And we also have to show them what we did well, and not just only show them the negatives, because that's what they remember. But I think, with Huddle now that we have and the resources that are out there, you can send them directly to the player, an area that I have to spend some time and get better at and more efficient with. We've done, pizza or meals or quick film with teams or with our team, like before a game or something like that, but cut down on the number of, like, not 35, 45 minutes watching film together. Like, we're going to watch 10 or 15 minutes of film. This is what we're going to do, and we're going to move on. I think that's a much better recipe, something that I've got to get better at.
I don't know if they have it at your gym, but something that's really helped me with just trying to stay stationary in the gym, because we've gone to the classroom, but there's a smart TV in a corridor close to the gym. I can just wheel it into the gym. I can pull up, I can play those 5 clips real fast. And then in this boom, like, we're 10, 15 minutes in the film. I'd like to get it I'd love to get it where if I had a manager, somebody that could film uh, from the top of the bleachers of hey, we're gonna run this play or whatever, and then okay, let's go show it on the TV, make the corrections that we need to make, and then go from there. Would love to get to that point of just I think that would be development would start
Yeah, that would
progressing.
that's a good
So
idea.
31 games, November to, if you're fortunate enough, March. It's a long grinded out season. What kind of non-basketball activities are you doing with your team?
Yeah, that's a great question and something that, we've taken a lot of pride in, taking over the new program, really wanted to focus on building our culture and giving, the girls a place where we come together as a family and a team, but it's really more off the court focus, and then on the court, like you're able to solve things and come together more. So we do a lot of team meals in this summer, and we went and took team trips and traveled to different places, and just we do a pretty good job of like planning the off the court stuff. And I think it's really fun, like talking to the girls, or we go here, it's like, hey, we should try this, or we should go here, and they're surprised by, we're like, okay, that sounds great, let's go do it, and I think that they love like having a part in the ownership of planning, the team building and the off the court stuff. And that's been something that we've done a lot of taking over in March.
I think that's huge. I think it might not seem like it has payoffs, but I think the off the court non-basketball related activities pay off a lot more than the basketball related activities. So you mentioned your off season there, things that you were doing between May and probably August or October. Small school, there's a lot going on. What kind of things are you hoping to accomplish in your off season and time commitments for the players and yourself?
Yeah, off season is definitely big in our sport. Skills are important, and teams are definitely, made in November through March, and players are made in the off season. I think most good coaches understand that. I think we try to get the gym open as much as we can. That's something we always did on the boys side. If we have kids that want to go in and shoot, I think that's a big part of like building the relationships and showing, hey, I'm willing to put the time in and invest in you, and help you with your shooting form, or help you work on this, or turn this weakness into a strength. I know that's something that, our boys have commented over the years, like, man, that really meant a lot to me, that you were there and I got this many shots up. And I think we're the same on the girls side, willing to open the gym and get girls in shooting, and a lot of open gyms, but also at the same time, coach, balancing like, hey, we need multi-sport athletes, like go play softball, go run track. We're going to go support you at those games. We don't want to over specialize. I don't need you in the open gyms if you're in another sport. The gym is open when you want it to be there, but definitely, prioritizing that the next sport that you play is going to make you better as a student athlete, a better competitor, a better teammate, a better leader, even bring you back better for your sport. So that's definitely something I think our coaches do a pretty good job of in our athletic department, with our athletic director, of prioritizing. So gym is open as much as we can get it, to work on skills, but definitely prioritizing multiple sports.
I 100% agree with that, coach. I don't want, I mean, I would love to have a 5-star recruit, but that's only playing basketball. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I hate when when a player says, "Oh, I only play basketball," because it's like, well, we're a small school. Well, I'm just not good at it. Well, just go and be a part of that team. Go and try. Just go and do something that's going to challenge you as an individual. And like you said, you're going to go as a coach and support them in their softball game or their Scholastic Bowl meet or whatever they find joy in. So how are you in season, off season, kind of celebrating players, their wins, and the other things that they're doing?
Yeah, I think social media, we talked about some of the negatives, right? We talked about maybe the pressures that you see, or the, comparing your highlights, other person's highlights, to maybe when you're struggling, and some of the things that are posted on social media might not always be true, right? And we make judgments on that, but I think we also have to be very honest that social media connects and a lot of positives to the young generation, and we need to use that to our advantage. So we have a Facebook page that's we're pretty good at. My assistants, 2 younger assistants as well, keep that up to date. But we share birthdays out. We share recognitions for other sports or academics. We want to recognize and show that, we care and share those celebrations out. One thing that we started is our Huey Built chain this year, and that's a chain that the girls get. We choose that as coaches weekly, and we're looking for things like hard work and hustle, attitude, who's a we over me player, who battled adversity and kept going and didn't complain or didn't make an excuse, who stayed positive. And so the girls get this chain in front of their team. They take a picture, we post it on social media, and then they answer the question, what does Huey Built mean to you? And we're making a video for it at the end of the season. So we try to recognize as many ways as we can. And, I think you said it too. It's not about scoring points. It's about being a great teammate, having a great attitude. Like, those are the foundations of like any role on our team and in our program. And the more that we celebrate that and bring that to the light, the more that we're going to, get those things. So something that we try to do.
Well, I think using social media in that positive way is fantastic, because that same player who says, well, I didn't score anything, but is still recognized because of hustle and heart and attitude. A simple Facebook post, as well as I do, that their grandparents love to see that. It's equivalent as putting it up on the refrigerator. And I believe if you're a coach who's not using social media in a positive way like that, you're holding something back. I had so many great aunts, uncles, parents saying, I saw all that you're putting on Facebook, and that's just great because we can keep up with the team and our granddaughter, our grandkids. This is great. It's fantastic.
Hey, I got one story I think I got to share. With this. So that first week that we did our Huey Built chain, there was a girl that was in the JV game, and we sub pretty regularly in the JV game. And this girl really wants to play. She's improving. And, I said, hey, go get so-and-so. And this girl like jumps up, literally sprints to the scorer's table and like runs right by you. You feel the wind as she runs by you. And I just looked at the other players sitting next to me. I'm like, man, like, I feel really good about her going into the game. Doesn't that make you? They're like, yeah, she's ready to go, coach. Goes in there, sprints on the court, does great stuff. And I'm like, imagine if we all ran to the scorer's table like that player did. So the next girl's like, I'm going faster than her. She stands up and sprints to the scorer's table. They sprint off. We did it the whole night for the, JV and varsity. Not something that we plan to do or force, but the whole body language and effort, and just like, it's contagious. It's contagious positively and negatively, unfortunately, as well. But the positive of this is, so this player works really hard, is improving, great teammate, and, earns this Huey Built chain award. So we started it, about a month ago. And I give it to this player in front of the team, before one of our games. And the player is just beaming, excited and everything, and gets this cool award, goes out, has the game of her life, scores 20 in the JV game, just plays unbelievably well. Make this post on social media after the game, and it's got, all these comments and everything. And everyone's like, well, so-and-so got the award because they scored 20 points in the game. And I'm like, you guys have no idea. Like, it had nothing to do with that. Like, we gave that out, before the game, and I think we posted on why, but all people saw, was, oh, they had the great game. And so I brought the team in. I said, you know what, like, the best part about this is that this is what people think, right? But we know that because she's doing things the right way and doing all of these things, that's why the results are happening. So it could have been more perfect. It's actually a player that you coach in the summertime too. So I know that she's learned a lot from you too, but it was a really awesome experience for her as a player, and just to kind of see all that was really cool.
Yeah, again, it goes back to that rewarding the effort, and you'll see the growth. I had this conversation with Marty Plum about this kind of, I didn't know a way to phrase it, but I said reverse psychology. I've heard some coaches say, I just don't have athletes. We're not fast. We don't take care of the ball. And I was like, why don't we flip the script and say, I have athletes. We can take care of the ball. We are fast, because whether you know it or not, a player is not that fast, but you keep telling them, you're fast. You're fast. You're good at this, or you're good at that.
Mm-hmm.
They start to believe that, because perception is reality, and now they're doing those things. So, okay, like you said, you sprint on the floor. You're hustling down the floor. You have great attitude. You are a great player. Well, okay, now I have confidence, coach. I'm going to go knock down these shots. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And because of like you said, because she got the chain, a lot more confidence, a lot more intensity, a lot more results. And it's just got to flip that script though, from the don'ts to the do's.
Yep. Totally.
I know you're a coach that, continued growth. You're always trying to find new ways to think about things and grow and learn and network. So what kind of coaching clinics or classes do you attend or would you suggest for veteran coaches, young coaches, anybody in between?
Yeah, I think continuing to grow and learn in our game, and the game is constantly changing, and new ideas, and you learn from somebody older than you learn from somebody younger than you learn from coaches that have a completely different philosophy than you. I'd say the old school informal way of networking and coaching circles and reaching out and talking to as many people about the game of basketball as you can is only going to help you grow and improve as a coach. But my favorite camp and thing that I do is definitely coaching for Snow Valley basketball and being affiliated with USA Basketball. Coach Don Showalter, Dave Schlaubaugh do a phenomenal job. Snow Valley basketball, if you haven't been there as a coach or you have young players that want to improve, that's just an outstanding skills teaching camp and just an A+ basketball experience. So have grown so much from going there and meeting so many great coaches that I still talk to all the time and connected with. Just truly about being humble, about being open to learning, and leaving your ego at the door. As Coach Showalter says, there's great college coaches that are there. There's high-level high school coaches that are there. There's great players from all over the world represented there. And Coach, I know we've talked about getting you there, and I hope that you get to experience that. But it's just truly like about getting better at the game of basketball, and all the other stuff that's the noise in our game. You don't feel that when you're at Snow Valley for a week. Man, the learning and the teaching that happens there is just really impressive and something that you got to experience.
I think it's July 23rd through the 26th this year, so I've got it on my calendar.
That'd be awesome. That's the girls' week. Yep.
So looking forward to that and just growing as a coach. Now in roughly 20 years of coaching experience, you've had a lot of practices, you've done a lot of things. And you played too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So as a player, as a coach, in all of your years of basketball experience, what's your favorite drill?
Ooh, put me on the spot here. Good question. I got to go with two. I'll start with a defensive drill. This one's called persistence defensive drill. This one I got from Pat Summit back in the early 2000s, Tennessee women's. This is a drill that I was at a clinic, and her top assistant, Dean Lockwood, who's now the director of player development, top assistant at Michigan State women's, said that Coach Summit would do, if every single day, but if her house was on fire and she had to go rescue one of her basketball files from her cabinet, this would be the only thing that she would care about. And it's a defensive drill. It's a little bit like shell drill. You've got your 4-on-4. You can run it 3-on-3, 5-on-5, but you put your time on the clock, turn on the shot clock, and 30 seconds, 35, 45 seconds, whatever you want to do that day, have to defend for perfect possessions. Okay, so offense has the ball, defense gets a stop, they get a clean rebound on the first shot, and it took 8 seconds. So say there was a 35-second shot clock, we're down to 27. Offense has the ball, they have 13 seconds, they score, or they get a stop in 13 seconds, we're down to 14. They have to defend in perfect possessions all the way until the clock says 0. So you're talking about intensity, you're talking about competing, and man, but just the effort level and the game, type of results that you get versus doing like a traditional shell drill and say, hey, we're going live. Offensively, you're working on maybe situations in the late clock, but it really just ratchets things up to the next level. And as he said, it depended on the day. Sometimes things weren't going well, that clock turned into a minute, or different kind of consequences. So I would say we've done that in our boys program, and something I've brought to the girls side. That's my favorite defensive drill, persistence defensive drill. Offensively, I will go 4-on-4 cutthroat. That's a Snow Valley drill, USA Basketball. But that's where you've got 4 teams or multiple teams of 4 on the baseline. Offense starts with the ball. There's 3 rules to it. Defense comes in, and number 1, you have to catch the ball. You have to square up, face the basket. If you don't, you've got a coach out top or a coach on the bottom. They see that, blow the whistle right away. That's a turnover. That team's off. Defense goes to offense. Okay, that's rule number 1, catch and square up. Rule 2 is after you pass, you can't stand. So you got to cut or you got to set a screen. If you stand, coach blows the whistle, turnover, that's a turnover, possession's over, defense goes to offense. And then rule number 3 is you have to thank the passer. So if you score off of a pass, you get an assist. After you score, you have to turn and thank that person, point at that person, and thank the passer. If you score and you don't thank the passer, blow the whistle, that team's off, defense is going to offense. So you really kind of teach and emphasize what you want in an offensive possession, but also defensively, you have to get a stop to go to offense. You have to talk. It's fast paced. And seeing this my first time at Snow Valley, it was like the first day we ran cutthroat. The second day we did cutthroat. We keep doing it. We keep doing it. By the end of the week, seeing the difference in the way that these girls played and shared the ball and moved, and then are throwing, a full court pass and transition, and the girls turning after a layup and pointing, thank you, thank you, thank you. Just seeing that basketball being played the right way. I mean, and the growth that happens with this game is awesome. So I started to teach all of my offensive actions through it. And we really teach through cutthroat, which I've talked to a lot of other Snow Valley coaches that do that as well. So we've got some great success with that.
Sounds like 2 great drills. I do cutthroat as well, but persistence, I might swap out with the thing we're doing for shell for persistence to ramp up the intensity. So 2 great drills, Coach. Thank you for that. If you're on social media, where can coaches find you?
Yeah, the best way to follow our program is on PCHS Girls Basketball, and that's on Facebook. And that would follow our program directly. I'm on Facebook and Twitter as well, but not as active on Twitter. So I would say Facebook. We need to get the Twitter page going for PC Girls Basketball. That's step 2.
Yeah, I follow our high school page, follows your high school page. Love seeing the stuff that you're putting out there. Love what you did with PC's program in year 1. It's always hard coming in as a new face, but I mean, you're new to the program, not new to the community. And I think you've done an outstanding job just across the board and building in the girls program, which is just a pleasure to see given what we talked about today in the declining numbers in girls basketball. So, Coach, anything else that you want to add or ask, or any shout outs you want to give?
No, I don't think so. I've been following your podcast and United Basketball, and you doing the clinic at Hoosier Gym. I just appreciate anybody that's out here working to benefit players and girls and grow the game. I think it's just such a bigger mission than we want to win in our programs. Like, there's a bigger picture to it all. Girls deserve to have great programs, just like the boys. And I just really appreciate all that you're doing, and the opportunity to talk basketball on here today has been great. So thank you.
No, I thank you. I appreciate you. And thank you for hopping on here today and talking hoops and sharing what you do as a coach and with your program. Best of luck this postseason, the rest of the season for sure, but definitely in the postseason. I think that you guys are playing your best basketball right now, and that's the way that you want to have it. So again, thank you for your time today, Coach.
Yep. Sounds great. Good luck to you too, Coach.
Coaches, thank you for listening to the United Basketball Plus Coaching and Leadership Podcast. For all things United Basketball Plus, visit us at our website, www.unitedbasketballplus.com, or on X at UnitedBBallPlus.